Hello, journaling friends. Welcome to my quiet and cozy little space. Today, I'm going to do a flip through of April in my Hobonichi Cousin. It's very wintry. We've had a couple of days of solid rain, and I've decided I'm going to embrace that and just indulge in all my cozy hobbies for the weekend. Maybe some reading of my book on the couch, watching a really nice movie, and of course, hanging out my journal. I love sitting down at my desk at the end of the day and just indulging in all of my creative fun stuff. And I think the wintry weather just creates a nice backdrop for all of that. So, this is me in my radical acceptance era where I'm just, allowing things that I have no control over just continue on around me. And that includes the weather. Actually, this morning on my morning walk, I was thinking to myself, I talk about the weather a lot. Does this make me boring? But then I realized I think it comes hand in hand with actually paying more attention of my surroundings or being more aware of what's going on around me. And that has come about since I started journaling. So, my Hobonichi Cousin is what I call my joy journal. I only document lovely moments, nice things that I see, fun experiences, lovely interactions I have with people, often strangers to be fair. And so, by having this space to do all of that, the noticing and being aware of what's going on around me, including the weather, it just means I'm paying more attention. And that's not a bad thing. So, yes, wintry, cozy hobbies, and me just hanging out at home for the weekend. That's what I have in store. I photographed my last wedding of the season last weekend. I don't usually have weddings after April. From May to August is usually pretty quiet for me wedding wise. However, I did have one in May and then I had one in June. And then now I have 3 months before my next season kicks in. The last couple of days I've been editing the preview gallery for the couple from last week's wedding, and I also edited a family photo shoot that I did recently. So this morning when I got up, I was making my coffee, and as it was brewing, I was standing in the kitchen and just pondering, what am I going to do today? And then it dawned on me that I can have a few days off. So flip through with you, and then I'm going to be reading my book. I actually took a book out from the library last week and I haven't opened it yet. So my plan is to dive into that today. And then no doubt in the evening, I will be sitting here back at my desk, just hanging out in my journals. And I can't wait. I love doing that. I love sometimes just sitting down with no intention, but I end up just doing so many creative things. So yeah, winter's not so bad after all. Anyway, let's get started. This is my Hobonichi Cousin. In the cover, I have popped in a postcard that my pen pal Ava sent me from the Netherlands. I love it so much. She just had to be somewhere where I could see her every day, and this is where she now lives. On the inside, I haven't done anything differently or added anything to the inside of the cover and the cover of my journal since my last flip through, which was March. I also haven't added anything in here either. And then we go to my monthly spread for April. This is essentially just a mishmash of whatever. I pop in pages from my paper message daily calendar. They're just so cute, too cute to throw away. I have a little note from my pen pal Laura with something she sent me. Some ephemera from a Hitotaki washi tape. So this is like the inside of the tape that I just can't bear to throw away. So when I finish the actual washi tape, I just tear that out and stick it somewhere in my journal. Some Kewpie mayonnaise ephemera. A photo of a meal I had at Soup Stock Tokyo, which I frequent a lot when I'm there. I miss it a lot. And yes, I do. If I actually had a soup stock local to me, I would definitely be frequenting there a lot. I'm pretty sure I have stuck this somewhere else in my journal. It's just too relevant for me. The Mormon family sitting around doing crafts and reading, and it says, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Burning the midnight oil for sure. The midnight oil is just sitting around partaking in cozy hobbies, definitely. I would love to burn the midnight oil like that. I mean, to be fair, I am a night owl, so I do often stay up into the late hours reading or partaking in my cozy hobbies. A friend of mine went to Taiwan on a holiday and he picked up some cute stickers from me that he saw in a market, which I thought was so thoughtful. And then we go on to the weekly pages. Again, this is just a mishmash of everything. It's sticking down of ephemera, some photos, a poem here and there, jotting down of little things that I do some days. Actually, in May, or was it in June? Definitely in June, but it might have been as early as May. I now use these weekly pages for writing down more of my little bits and pieces that I do throughout the day. So there's still stuff stuck down, but there's more writing. Anyway, you'll see that in a flip through in future. Day 4 of working out. I'm still working out. I'm so proud of myself for keeping up with that. I think I started working out daily at the end of March. So what are we now? End of June. I've got 3 months. So proud. On this day, I watched Zoe's Japan stationery haul video. If you don't know who Zoe is, you need to go and check out their channel. They went to Japan earlier this year and they've got 2 stationery haul videos. I think a 3rd one is coming out soon, I think. Sorry, Zoe, if I'm not supposed to disclose that. But anyway, you definitely want to check out Zoe's video. Their content is all stationery and all fun. So yeah, that was a photo of me sitting at my desk with my journal. I was working on, decorating my journal and also hanging out with Zoe. I love having journaling content playing in the background while I'm journaling as well. It's kind of like that person is keeping me company. I love it. Here I wrote, cooler weather calls for more cooking and less salads. I eat salad pretty much every single day in the warmer months. So now that it's starting getting cooler, now that it's winter, I am definitely cooking more. I don't think I've even bought salad for the last month. Lots of soups and more hearty meals. So yeah, I'm actually enjoying it. I'm a bit lazy when it comes to cooking, so yeah. My friend Jonathan moved to Paris and he gifted me a book of poems by Mary Oliver, and every now and again, it's on my coffee table and every now and again I pick it up and just flip to a random page to read the poem. And I really liked this one, so I took a photo of it. Softest of mornings, hello. And what will you do today, I wonder, to my heart? And how much honey can the heart stand, I wonder, before it must break? This is trivial or nothing. A snail climbing a trellis of leaves and the blue trumpets of its flowers. No doubt clocks are ticking wildly all over the world. I don't hear them. The snail's pale horns extend and wave this way and that as her finger body shuffles forward, leaving behind the silvery path of her slime. Oh, it's just like, I don't know, it appealed to me when I read it because I strive for the softest of mornings. I know I've spoken about this in other videos before. It gets mentioned a lot in my journal. So yeah, it was something I could really relate to. There was more to the poem, but I obviously just took a photo of that bit. Spent my morning playing Animal Crossing and completing all the bunny day tasks. Walk, workout, journal. It's pretty much how I spend my mornings when I don't have work to do. Or even when I have work to do, the walk and workout, yes, but not always journaling. Had to take my cat to the vet for his checkup. I've got some, what do you call it? I cut this out of a magazine that I picked up when I was in Japan. Every now and again I go in there and just cut things out to stick in my journal for a bit of colour. Some Bunny Day paper. A sticker from my dear friend Nina. I will put the link to Nina's website in the description if you want to go and check out her stationery. She has some pretty cool stickers and washi and other things as well. Clothing. That's me taking Roger to the vet. I've started writing down recipes that I come across on Instagram or TikTok because usually I save them into a folder on the app and then I never go back there. So now I've started jotting them down and it's kind of a bit of a nudge for me to try the recipe out rather than just bookmarking it. I am really loving my air fryer at the moment, so that was just a recipe that I wanted to try. My dog Missy, she has this habit where she fixates on scratching. So when she does that, I pop on this neck pillow. It's like a You know what you'd wear on a flight? It looks like Missy's about to board a plane. So when she does the fixating thing, I stick the neck pillow on and then she stops scratching and 10 minutes later I take the pillow off because then she's forgotten about the fixation. I gather it's kind of like a self-soothing thing for her. Anyway, she does this thing where sometimes she'll get up off her bed and go to her water bowl. And sometimes, like in this instance, she got off her bed and walked to her water bowl with the neck pillow on, and the blanket that I had tucked her in was draped over her back. So she just looked like a little old lady who had just crawled out of bed with her dressing gown on and, I don't know, hair in rollers, but instead of the rollers, she had a neck pillow, and instead of the dressing gown, she had a blanket over her neck. It's the funniest sight. I should have taken a photo. I think I was too slow. A printable from Susanna V. Bryant. Susanna's artwork makes a regular appearance in my journal. I love her stuff so much. Oh, that's actually hers as well. And went to a friend's baby shower on that day. That was such a wonderful day. I do write about that more in my daily pages. Something else from Susanna V. Bryant. Your treasure house is within. It contains all you'll ever need. So true. Oh, I was having a bit of, fun doodling this night. This was really late at night. I was just, hanging out in my journal, as I do, getting into my flow state, so to speak. So I was just having fun doodling. As I've mentioned before, I cannot draw to save myself. Although I liked this little drawing here. I found this person on Instagram and they show how to do these little miniature drawings. How cute is that? I actually really like that tiny drawing. Zoe sent me this meme on Instagram and I had to cut it out. I have two moods, heh, not heh. Obviously in this one, they're holding an onigiri, a Shinkansen ticket, a Japan rail pass. So heh in Japan, not heh. I thought that was really cute. I got a bit of a chuckle out of that. Sometimes I just write little things that I'm reflecting on. The universe always gives you exactly what you need to live a life aligned with the frequency of what you focus your attention on. I can't remember where I saw something that was talking about this. It was probably Instagram as always. So I just wrote that down as a little reminder for me. I love our long chats. A really long, lengthy chat with a loved one, which was just delightful. Giving is joy. And went to high tea with my school friends here. Lots of laughs, as always. I mean, we were there for hours. I'm pretty sure the restaurant was kicking us out. Actually, one of the staff came up and gave us a little pre-warning that we are closing soon. But we catch up. It's usually maybe once or twice a year, sometimes more, but it needs to be more often because we always have such a good time. My bestie's dog Coco came to hang with us for a week, which was so lovely, as always. Something else I've just screenshot and printed from Instagram. A little reminder, lightly child. It's dark because you are trying too hard. Lightly child, lightly. Just lightly let things happen and lightly cope with them. Throw away your baggage and go forward. There are quicksands all about you, trying to suck you down into fear and self-pity and despair. That's why you must walk so lightly, on tiptoes and no luggage, completely unencumbered. I love that so much. On tiptoes and no luggage. Just that, those words by themselves are so sweet. Light. So another little reminder for me to not sweat the small stuff. I think I mentioned before, I just like to write down little things that I notice. Roger, Missy, so Roger's my cat, Missy's my dog, and Coco, our little visitor, coexisting is the sweetest. It was so sweet some days, I don't know, in the middle of the day and then also late into the evening after our walk with the dogs. They would just all be in their own cozy spot having a nap. It was so nice. Some more little recipe ideas that I've come across on Instagram or TikTok. Couch hangs, read and nap. I talk about that more in my daily pages as well. Whenever I'm in the bathroom, Roger will sit on the other side of the door and just wait for me. Missy's too lazy. She's just going to be on her bed. She does not care for waiting around for me. But Coco loves to wait as well. So this was really cute. I opened the bathroom door to not only Rogie waiting for me, but Coco as well. And so I wrote, I feel so popular. They're both sitting there just staring at the door, waiting for me. It's so cute. Got my first brand deal. Very, very exciting. It is actually my most previous video if you want to go and have a look. I was very excited because when they had contacted me, I went onto their website and was immediately obsessed with their products. So that was very, very exciting. A stamp from my pen pal Desiree. Oh, this is the end of April. So Roger sneezes every so often and then he ends up with a little snot bubble on his nose. It's the cutest thing ever. It's gross, but it's also really cute. So yeah, that was just a day where I was chuckling to myself over Roger and his snot nose. He hates it when I go to clean it, absolutely hates it. And then this is May, so I'll obviously do that flip through at another time. Otherwise this video will be way too long. And then we go into the daily pages. So that's the start of April. Usually on the first page of the month, I do decorate in some way, usually quite heavily. But for this one, I think I was a little bit mild. I don't know, I like it. More Kewpie packaging. I obviously eat Kewpie a lot. I really loved this first day of the month page from my calendar. And a little bit of Susanna V. Bryant here. Things can be easy. Right, a day in my life. As I mentioned earlier, I am trying to cook more and eat less salads. Salads are just not that appealing in the colder weather. So yeah, I just got this illustration from a Japanese magazine that I had picked up while I was there. As I mentioned earlier, I like to often cut out the pictures from them. And I just thought it worked perfectly here where I'm just talking about I'm cooking more and what I'm making, realizing my love of ginger since I started adding it into a couple of meals. And then on this page, I thought I would jot down some dishes that I like to make that I forget about. Do you ever do that where you have something that you have cooked regularly and then all of a sudden it just kind of drops off from your mind and you don't cook it for ages? So now what I've started doing is actually, or what I want to use this page for, is to jot those dishes down so that I can come back to it if I am uninspired to make something. So yeah, fish tacos, yum. I love making baked fish, like a whole fish in the oven with some seasoning and some sauces and coriander and ginger, yum. And again, writing down a recipe that I came across on Instagram because again, I'll bookmark it and then it'll just stay in that folder and I'll never look at it. But I've written it down now to remind myself that I want to try Sandra and Yusuke's curry. They are a couple that live in Tokyo. I follow them on Instagram and last week they made a Japanese curry and it looked so delicious. I actually picked up the ingredients when I was at the supermarket yesterday, so I might try and make that in the next few days. This is the page where I swatched all the colours of the Artex acrylic markers that I got. And here I just stuck down the little desk calendar pages from the paper message calendar and also from I've got my Kin Shiatani calendar as well. I just didn't want to waste them. They're just too cute. So yeah, I got to this page, realised I had an empty page, and these are all from February, March and the start of April. Days at home are my favourite. The sweetest little picture from Susanna V. Bryant. Oh, this was me just actually reflecting on my very calm day that I had. I started my morning off slowly, opening the blinds, brewing my coffee, sitting on the couch, just taking my time like I do every single morning. I went for my brisk morning walk, mind calm, nervous system regulated. I pondered what I planned to do today, a workout to get my muscles moving and my mind focused, some journaling to nourish my soul and create some calm in my space. And then I did just that. The sky was full of clouds and even the gloom of the outside view from my window didn't dampen my spirit like it usually would. This is how I knew I truly, for today, felt so at peace. I was calm, I was quiet, I was still. I think that's one big reason I really love my walk every morning is because I do just think, I kind of ponder. Sometimes I have really creative ideas. Other times I just think, what am I going to do today? How am I going to spend my day? And then I just kind of map out my day. But it also makes me, I guess, be more intentional, if that's the right way to put it, about how I'm going to spend my day. So I'm not just getting home and going, okay, cool, I'm just going to sit at my desk and do work. I actually make some nice plans for myself as well. So yeah, I really enjoy that part of my morning. And then here, I solved the I can't read at night because it's too dark issue. My eyesight doesn't do well with when it gets dark. And I dug out my book light. I used to use my book light ages ago, and I don't know why I just threw it in a drawer and forgot about it. Anyway, it worked a treat. So yeah, I was reading my book on the couch at night instead of looking at a screen. This was a blank spread. I didn't have anything to put on here, so I just found some paper. It was a, what do you call it? It was like a packet of paper that I picked up in Japan from Loft. It was by Paper Message. And I'd totally forgotten about it. I'm pretty sure I have 2 packets actually. They were just tucked away in the bottom of my little stationery cart. So yeah, when I was rummaging around in there looking for something, I found these packets. And so I used them, to decorate this spread since I had nothing to put on here otherwise. And just some watercolor pencil at the back. And then let's make a small change, radical acceptance. Again, just trying to remind myself that, we just need to accept things that we have no control over, i.e. the weather. How freaking cute is Rogie? Look at him. He sits next to me on the couch in the morning when I'm having my coffee, or pretty much whenever I sit on the couch, he sits next to me. Look at his little paws all tucked in. He's the cutest thing ever. Roger's not affectionate at all, but he always sits with me and follows me around all the time. And then I just wrote here, again, a bit of a reflection on how freaking cute he is. Fatty Foo, that's one of his names. When I first got him, he was huge, like as in he's a big boy, but he's lost a lot of weight now due to some health issues. But yeah, I wrote here, Fatty Foo has become really affectionate lately. Well, affectionate for him, but at least I can get a kiss in, maybe 2, and longer cuddles. So yeah, I didn't used to be able to really pick him up. As in, if I did pick him up, he would just squirm and run off. Whereas now I can pick him up and cuddle him maybe for like a solid 10 seconds before he starts getting wriggly. And I can also kiss him on his head. I get a couple of kisses in before he gets annoyed. So yeah, yay for me. Maybe not so much for Roger. Oh, this was off the back of me spending a bit of time in my traveler's notebook. I have been updating my junk travel insert. I've got 1 spread left and I'm a bit sad about it because I've really, really loved decorating the pages with all the ephemera that I picked up on my last Japan trip. So I just wrote here, I'm a Hobonichi girl through and through, but I'm seriously loving my TN lately. I am on my last couple of spreads in my junk travel insert and I feel like I don't want to finish decorating it just yet. Do I get myself another pink craft insert? Maybe I will. Although in saying that, now that I'm on the last spread, it is going to feel very, I guess, accomplished, if that's the right word, to have finished it. And it just means that all the leftover ephemera that I've got from that trip will just get put inside my Hobonichi Cousin. So yeah, I don't know if I will get another spread. I mean, I definitely will get another pink craft insert at some point for something. But I was thinking at first I might do a second junk travel insert, but I don't think I will now. So yeah, I've got little bits of ephemera stuck in here as well. Just using some PET tape that I got from Zoe. And this was also a picture from a Japanese magazine that I cut out. Obviously I can't read Japanese, so I can't read anything in the magazine, but I do love all the illustrations. Went to a friend's baby shower. I spent the afternoon there with all the gals. It was so nice. So lovely catching up with everyone. Oh, I've rubbed a bit off there. One of the mums is a wedding photographer. So there were some other wedding industry friends there. So it was lovely. We don't always get to catch up at weddings because we're busy working. We might be able to say a quick hello and a hug and a quick small chat. But on days like this, yeah, we get to hang out and mingle. It was really nice. So one of my close friends and I had a long chat about self-reflection and becoming our true selves. That was really, really heartwarming and endearing. I felt very loved and heard and just really warm after that conversation. And then there were a few of us, just talking about other really lovely things, and we got a bit teary. It was really nice. And then I ended the day with lasagna at my bestie's house. He makes the best lasagna ever. Don't tell my mum I said that. Just another little reminder, do something today that reminds you it's not that deep. Yes. This reminder is sinking in for me lately. Seriously, I'm just in a, I guess, headspace at the moment where I'm just not sweating the small stuff. I think in general, I have a tendency to overthink and maybe hyper-focus or fixate on something that is such a small problem or not even a problem. And then my mind ruminates and makes it into a problem. So yeah, I'm really learning at the moment. I found I want to say almost turned a corner where I'm just not focusing on those little small things that really don't matter at the moment. So yeah, I think even just sitting in my journal on the days where my mind is really overactive, it really pulls me out of that headspace and puts me back into the present moment. So I think journaling has a lot to answer for when it comes to, well, for me personally, for my headspace and my well-being, definitely. It's definitely made a huge difference for me. Just decided on this day I was going to make this spread purple, which was really fun because then it got me rummaging around in all my little piles of stationery to find little purple bits and pieces. I find when I do that, then I stumble across things that I've forgotten about, stickers and washi and bits of paper and whatnot that I've forgotten exist. So like this washi, I haven't seen this washi for ages. Like I don't think I've used it probably for like a good year or so. So yeah, I enjoy doing that when I've got an idea of, okay, I want this spread to be purple. Let's go hunting for purple stuff. This spread is dedicated to produce stickers and also food related stickers. And I got this idea from Laura because Laura was telling me that she sticks down all her produce stickers. So I did a page, where was that? It was the end of March, I think. I probably should put a tab on there. There it is, end of Feb. So yeah, I actually started sticking down all my produce stickers because previous to this, I used to just stick them down in my weekly and monthly pages. And now I've actually, thanks to Laura, started to stick them down on one page. And how cool does that look? So cute. So yeah, now I'm going to stick them all onto this page spread. I actually eat kiwi fruit every morning with my breakfast, but when I take the stickers off, because of the furry skin on the kiwi fruit, I don't want to put them in here because I feel like there's going to be a bit of the skin stuck to the sticker, which is a shame because I eat one, if not two kiwi fruit a day. A free spread. I do have these scattered throughout my journal where I might come back later and use the pages for swatching or sticking down of ephemera, or even just, I don't know, writing down a poem or a quote or something that I've seen, especially if I come across that on a day where I've got other stuff to put on the page of that daily page. Sorry, a lot of page in there. So yeah, anyway, this is just a free spread. I actually had a conversation with Zoe and Laura, my two pen pals / friends, last week about how, because I feel like this is getting quite chunky and I'm only into June, so I've still got another, basically double that, I guess, for the rest of the year, that I was thinking about potentially gluing some pages together. So like if I don't want to use this spread for anything, I could just glue the pages together to then potentially make the journal less chunky, rather than like if I was to cover this spread with ephemera, it's obviously just going to add to the chunkiness of it. So I had that initial discussion with Zoe about potentially gluing pages together. And then Zoe was like, no, but it's the Hobonichi Cousin. And I did think, oh, yeah, it's going to be a waste of the pages. It also doesn't matter just to leave them blank. I don't mind that this is blank. I actually kind of like it, weirdly. But then I was having the same discussion with Laura. And then Laura suggested, why not cut pages out? Because then I can reuse, use the paper for something else. So I could get my like X-Acto knife and just cut the page out, and use it for something else. So I had the thought that what I might do, I can't do it for this one because obviously I'm using the flip side of both pages, but I'm going to cut them in half. So then I've got like a little flippy flap, and I'm going to use these little half pages for things like swatching inks or watercolor. I don't know. I just felt like it would be kind of like a swatch page, but scattered throughout my journal. So with Laura's suggestion of cutting pages, I then had the idea to cut them in half, use this for swatching or something like that, and then went back to Zoe with that conversation, and Zoe said then I could use the other half of those pages and potentially make my own inserts for my TN card size. So Laura and Zoe completely solved my what to do with the blank pages, and also the fact that my journal is going to get too chunky by the end of the year with those suggestions. So I did actually cut one to see, and it's a page from June. So yesterday I cut it to see, what it would look like. And yeah, I think having the Tomo River paper as a little card size insert would be really fun, because I love this paper. And then I'm not wasting it. So you will see some cut pages definitely in my June flip through. Oh, this was the high tea that I had written down in my weekly pages, and I just talk about what we did and what we ate and the laughs that we had. The view from the restaurant, we were on like what floor is it? It's the top of a really tall building in the city. So you get panoramic views of Perth. So that was fun. This was the day I picked up Coco, and I know I've talked about this in a previous flip through, where Laura had mentioned to me once that it becomes such a comfort to see the unique handwriting of a friend. And my bestie had left this little post-it with a reminder of what I needed to bring for Coco. And so I kept it and stuck it in here because, as Laura said, this is a comfort for me to see this unique handwriting of my friend, of my bestie, who I've known my entire life. So I remember her handwriting from when we were kids as well. So yeah, this is just me talking about having Coco again. Another free spread. Again, I can't cut these pages now because I've, decorated the other sides, but 2 free spreads for April. Who knows, they may just stay blank. On this spread, I was just having a play with swatching some watercolor pencils that I have, and I haven't really played with them much yet. So I wanted to just test the colors out, and I also love how this paper goes crinkly from watercolor. So took the opportunity to not only test the pencil colors out, but to wipe some water over them to give it that watercolor look. And then, not wanting to waste my calendar pages, I stuck them down for a bit of fun. I like how this turned out. So when I went to Japan at the end of last year, I had this paper message calendar on my list of things to pick up, because the previous year I had forgotten and I regretted not having one for 2025. So on the list it went into Loft, found it, and then also saw the Kinshia Tiny calendar and just couldn't resist because I really love the little illustrations and the little quotes on those. So I tear off 2 pages every day, which is fun. Free page. On this day, I've just written little bits and pieces that I did for the day. I'm pretty sure I was coming to my journal as the day went on, which is what I do sometimes, and I just, jot down things that I did if I'm having a kind of meander around the house day. Coffee walk workout. I just wrote here that I get so much joy from my morning coffee, the smell of it brewing and that first sip. Interesting that I should be reading that now, because this morning, for the first time ever that I can remember anyway, I ran out of coffee. I couldn't believe it. When I got up, I got the coffee container out of the fridge and saw there was probably only barely 1 scoop, and I normally have 2 scoops of ground coffee in my morning coffee. And so I went to the pantry to grab what I thought would be a new bag of coffee waiting, and there wasn't any. I checked the cupboard about 3 times, and then I also checked my fridge, because sometimes if I've opened a bag of coffee and it doesn't fit in the container, I obviously put the packet with the leftover coffee into the fridge. I couldn't find, there was no coffee. There was no coffee in the fridge or the pantry, and I was stood in disbelief, because that is just my one thing that I love in the morning when I get up, is to make my coffee. So I made a very weak coffee. It was not enjoyable at all. I had my breakfast, and then when I went for my walk, I actually swung by the supermarket and got myself some coffee. So when I got home from my walk, I actually made a second coffee, which I never do. I only have the one really good cup first thing when I get up. So I did have a really strong, good cup of coffee when I got home from my walk. But definitely a first for me. I've always got extra coffee in the cupboard or the fridge. Anyway, interesting that I'm reading that now. Sticker bombed a spread in my journal, read my book on the couch, and had a very lovely nap with Missy and Coco nearby and Rogie on my bed. Bliss. Sunny and warm, putting me in a very good mood. And spent the evening journaling after walking the dogs. I love those nights. Sundays, it's just that Sunday just lends itself to that kind of cruisy, lazy day, doing all the things that we love. Unless I'm photographing a wedding, which I was last weekend. Woke up at 6 o'clock on this day, which is very unusual for me. I am more of an 8:30, 9 a.m. wake up type of gal. It was raining, so I still went on my morning walk, even though it was raining. I did consider not going, but I went anyway. I wrote here, it was still dark when I woke up and opened the blinds and made my coffee. I didn't hate it. It felt very quiet and peaceful. I went for a walk in the rain with my umbrella. Yeah, I remember thinking, oh, I don't really want to go out in the rain. Like walking in the rain, and more so the wind, is not enjoyable at all. But the rain's not so bad as long as it's not windy. So I figured I'll just put the hood of my jacket on if I needed to. And also I just took an umbrella just in case. And it did rain. I got pretty wet by the end of my walk. Pleasantly surprised to hear back from the brand with regards to the brand deal, which is what I had written on the weekly pages. Obviously, I spent hours perusing their website trying to choose a favourite bag. I just love all of their products. Definitely going to be indulging in another bag at some point. I'm currently enjoying my bag though. Again, the video is my previous video if you want to go check that out. Coco went home on that day, and I just wrote here, I'm going to miss her cute face and constant cuddles. This is her sitting on my lap while I was at my desk. Hit 12K on Insta. Nice round number. It's not really about the number. It's more about the lovely people on there and the people that engage and share with me, you know, their own journaling and stationery experiences. But I don't know, just seeing the nice round number on there is not a bad thing. Nothing like a passport photo to humble you. My goodness. I hate having my photo taken as it is, which is quite ironic considering I'm a photographer. Definitely don't love having my photo taken. I'm not comfortable with it at all. I'm getting better. I'm trying not to overthink it and make something out of it. It's just a photo, whatever. But passport photo, oh, needless to say, I don't love how my passport looks, but it's okay. I have a passport. Like, that is a privilege. So it doesn't really matter how I look. But yeah, nothing like that to humble you, that's for sure. And then on the last day of the month, it was surprisingly sunny today. After thinking we'd have rain all week, what a mood lifter. I feel so calm and unbothered today. So it seems like in April I had quite the month of feeling calm and unbothered, which is lovely. So that's what I was saying before at the start of my video, that I consider this my joy journal. And I just like to put all these lovely moments in here. I really don't want to be coming back and reading or rehashing difficult and challenging moments. I don't know. I know they exist. I know that is life and we need to have challenging and difficult moments, but I just don't want to relive them. This journal for me is just all about the lovely, fun stuff. And I like it. Like now, just reading all of this, looking back and flipping through these pages, makes my heart feel nice and warm. So that is April in my Hobonichi Cousin. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was so lovely to flip through all my pages and I guess in a way reflect on all the calm and cozy and quiet and soft moments that I have documented in my journal. So thank you for that. And thank you for giving me the space to share my love of journaling and Japanese stationery as well. You know, I love to have a conversation about this kind of stuff. So if you feel so inclined, leave me a comment and let me know, what do you like to journal about and what are you journaling in? I am so interested. Thanks again, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.